Hey everybody, welcome to Modified. We are the student ministry of South Lansing Christian Church. We're so glad that you are joining us tonight. I am joined here by Jennifer and Brayden, and just really excited about what's going to happen here. I don't know if I asked you guys this last week, not you, but you. Did I ask you how long you've been coming to South on camera?
How long I've been coming to
Yeah.
South?
How
No.
long
But
have
you
you
asked
been-
me how long I was a modified staffer.
Well, this is different. How long have you been coming to South?
So I started coming to South. Oh man, now you're making me math because I'm old.
You're not supposed to
My
say that out
husband
loud.
and I were married 17 years ago.
17 years ago, so
Yeah.
older than many of you watching this stream.
Hi.
And then we got Brayden, who is maybe 17 years old. How long have you been coming? How long have you been coming to South?
I went to South for the first time when I was 2 weeks old, so a little under 19 years.
Oh, he's coming to me.
Whoa! And I've been here 5, so I'm the newbie. But hey, glad you guys are here. Hi, Emma. Emma's giving you a shout out. Grandma's talking about carrots. Hey, we're glad that you guys are all on here. And just so you know, we're like watching ourselves kind of live and in the chat, but
30
we're
seconds.
delayed from where we are. So if it feels like you're in this time warp, whatever, it's all going to be
'cause you
good.
are.
So we've got a lot planned for all of us tonight. And we want to start off by telling you guys that Modified exists to create a safe place for students to grow in their relationship with Jesus and with others. And because of that, we've got these three rules at Modified, and that's respect yourself, respect others, and respect the church building, which is really easy for you to do right now. So I'd encourage you that when you're on the chat tonight, when you are meeting in your small groups later on this evening, that you keep those in mind. Respect other people, respect yourself. Our small groups are also a safe place where we get to share and just open up and be a little bit more real. And so what happens in small group, stays in small group. Those conversations are between you and your leaders. And so anyways, with all that, it's going to be a good night. We got a lot going on this week. And so like last week we had the Netflix movie club or watch party. And then we also had Jackbox games. This week we've got Netflix watch party bad movie club edition, because what we realized was it's fun to watch a movie. Like we watched Tarzan. I hadn't seen that in a long time. Have you seen Tarzan?
I have not.
Yeah?
It's been a long time.
It's got some of the best Disney movie music of all time.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly hadn't seen it in 2 decades at least, and I still knew the songs word for word. But what we realized is the best part about a Netflix watch party is getting in the chat with all of our friends. And so Lundy was like putting on his film critic hat and telling us all these strange things that nobody should know, but he knows somehow. And like Lydia was roasting, what's his name? What's the bad guy's name? Carlton or something? I don't know. Anyways, whatever. It was really fun. And so because of that, we are going to watch a train wreck of a movie this week, and we're going to enjoy it together. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. We want you there with us. So that's on Wednesday. And then because this is Easter week, we've got a lot going on at the church. And so what's going on Thursday at 7? Brayden?
This Thursday?
Yeah, at 7. With the church. Zoom call. Brayden works here. So
Sure he does.
Thursday at 7. Our church is getting together online on Zoom to celebrate the Lord's Supper together and to prepare our hearts for Good Friday and for Easter. And we'd love to have you guys join us. Information about how to connect with that, is it going to go out on social media?
It's going to
or
go out on
email?
social media this week and an email.
Yeah, so Easter is like this big deal for the church, and this whole week is just a really significant time in church history and in the church calendar, and it's a time when we really spend significant, energy and thought just reflecting on who Jesus is and what he did for us. And so, so we got this stuff going on Thursday. On Friday, take 2, Brayden. What's on Friday?
Good Friday.
Good Friday! Yeah, good job. Yeah. Peanut gallery in the back is good. And so we will be celebrating Good Friday again. That's at seekstudyserve.online.church. We want you to join us. It's going to be like a worship service, and we commemorate and we remember the day that Jesus sacrificed himself, and that gives us a chance to remember that entirely as a church. And then Sunday is Easter Sunday at 11 o'clock. Hopefully you tune in with your family. We'd love to worship with you that way. That, again, is going to be on our online church platform. You can find all that out. So not just Modified, but the church in general has a lot going on this week. We want you to be plugged in. And we want you to take some of it seriously, because if you are somebody who follows Jesus or is like getting serious about your faith, getting to know what all this is about, this is a really good chance for you to reflect on the meaning of your faith and your relationship with God. So, great week. Here's what I know. I know that a lot of students right now are experiencing a little lethargy. You know, can you define? You're a college kid.
Lethargy.
Lethargy.
I've never heard of that word either.
Lethargic, right? Lethargic. Can you define lethargic for us?
No.
That's Great Lakes Christian College right there for you.
Wow.
Okay, so
Shots fired.
I don't know how to say it right, but I suppose lethargy is a way that you could say it. So a lot of students are feeling that. They're feeling a little sluggish.
Yeah,
It kind of reminds us all of this this dog. We found this dog this week on social media. Brayden found this video. We're going to play you this dog. This is what I think this describes most students right now.
That's my house.
Back.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just writing comments to you all on church. So hey, that, as far as I can tell, that describes 98% of you. In fact, Hannah Lohman is with us in the background today. Say hi, Hannah. If you can't hear her, it's because she's laying on the ground in a fetal position and she's not moving. Yeah, don't believe a word that she says. So most students are that way. So we felt like we got to shake that out tonight. We got to start modified on the right foot. And Jamie sent me this today, earlier on this afternoon, and she said it made her laugh harder than anything ever. And yeah, so I don't have any further explanation than you should stand up and do this with us. We're all going to stand up, and here we go.
Just like the walls of Jericho, we about to break it down. I'm Run KJV, this is a little message, and this is Chris. Let's church hop. Daniel the lion's den. Pet the lions. Yeah. You're unfazed. Don't eat me. Now it's time for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
So quiet.
Yeah. You're not on fire. You're vibing. Yeah. Now it's time to march around the walls of Jericho. Keep on marching. Blow a trumpet.
God, I'm okay with that.
God's gonna do a miracle. Now it's time for Lot's wife. Stay very still. You're a pillar of salt. You're salt, Chris. Now let's feed the 5,000. Get the bread. Pass the bread. Get the bread. Pass the bread. Oh, here's a fish. Pass the fish. Here's a fish. Pass the fish. Don't eat the bread. Now it's time for the Damascus Road. Block the light. Block the light. Block the light. It's very bright. For beginners, cower in fear. Block the light. Now it's time for the fishermen. Ooh, reel it in. For experts, you can try walking on water. Yeah. Reel it in. Ooh, reel it in. Now it's time to dodge and flee temptation. Dodge temptation. 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 Flee temptation. Now it's time to overturn the money changers. Flip the tables. Yeah. This is the Lord's house. Yeah. A house of praise. Yeah. Now it's time for the whip and pray praise. Now watch me whip. Now watch me pray pray. Now watch me whip, whip. Now watch me pray pray. Now watch me whip. Now watch me pray pray. Now it's time to raid the enemy's camp. Run to the enemy's camp. Take back what he stole from you. Run to the enemy's camp. Take back what he stole from you. Run to the enemy's camp. Take back what he stole from you. Run to the enemy's camp. Now it's time to flex on Satan. Yeah. Oh, take that, Satan. I got the strength of the Lord. For experts, push pillars. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Yo, this has been Church Hop, and you've been awesome.
Richard Simmons Monday. Are you kidding me? Oh. All right, I'm out of breath. I need to go take a nap now. Brayden, you can take it from here, buddy.
And that's it.
Woo!
See ya.
Woo! Woo! Yeah.
Sweating to the oldies.
No, it was sweating in the church hop. Hey, looks like we're here. Okay, cool. Hey, so we've got a game, of course, and Eric is normally our mastermind of doom. But it's Easter, and so we're doing some jelly bean things, and actually Wally in the background is, he's just devised some dastardly stuff. So he and Eric have put their heads together, and we're playing this game called Jelly-Belly Roulette, which I've wanted to play for a long time at Modified, but I could never come up with the fundage to buy the expensive jelly beans. So on the docket of flavors today, we've got like puke flavor and
Please not onions and ice cream.
onions and ice cream.
No.
Yeah.
There's 11
11.
different
I was like,
opportunities.
11 opportunities, he says. So last week, if you missed it, we tried some food that ended up having a lot of onions and ice cream together. That was bad.
It was
but
terrible.
honestly, the thing that sticks with me, and I told Frank this on Tuesday, what sticks with me the most was like the soggy bun wrapped around the soggy spaghetti.
I was okay with that.
Oh,
that
man.
one was fine. It was like garlic bread and spaghetti.
Ketchup,
Yeah,
oh,
it's fine.
It was not good.
But the chocolate sauce mixed with all the other sauces kind of smelled musty and turned inward color.
yeah, there was that one did smell like a garbage pail.
It did.
Yeah.
I had a really good time making it for them.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're up here next week leading discussion. So we'll
We're
try
gonna-
to
we'll
do
make
our
something
worst
for you.
Awesome, thank you, I appreciate it.
Anyways, all right, we're doing Jelly-Belly Roulette, so I think we're ready. If our lovely assistant Eric will. Oh, here we go.
Candle dish.
Ooh, dirty dishwater birthday cake. Wow, nice. Are they
Are they marked?
technical
Blue
difficulties?
ones.
They're labeled on the cup.
They're based off the first one, so you're looking for DD, dirty dishwater.
I don't know. why
'Cause
this
I'm
is
not
black.
eating
Why
that.
does it say
All
black
right,
licorice?
I'm not eating black licorice.
Eric, what?
Here's the thing.
All right, here's the thing.
They could be one or the other,
does
but
one
they
have?
all look the same. So you get to pick one, and you could get a good one or a bad one.
What? Students are saying it's not working on Twitch. Is the stream online? It's online or on here. I see us.
Yeah, the screen's working.
Yeah.
I
We're working.
see us online. Okay, hold up, people. We're gonna figure this out. Sorry, people. Try to reload.
Is yours back there?
All right. I don't know. It looks like we're working fine because I can see us on here. So
I was like,
if you're having
still
issues, try to reload the stream. You should be able to tune in again. Should work on Twitch. Whatever. I'm sorry about that.
All right, so this is the dirty dishwater, or what was the other flavor?
birthday cake.
Birthday cake.
All right. Dirty dishwater or birthday cake. You know the beautiful thing about this is
You just grab one.
no, but it all looks the same. Like they all have sparkle. They all
They
look
all,
so
I was
happy.
looking for blue
see that?
flecks. They all have blue
You know,
flecks.
if we're gonna do this all the time, we need like a close-up camera right
Yeah,
here.
so we can
We're like,
an
hey,
overhead
look at
shot.
this. Yeah. So okay, cool. Well, grab one.
Okay.
This is Corona approved, where we are.
I chose the one with the most sparkles.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
we go.
We gotta
Bump.
bump and dump. Bump. Yeah, whatever. And dump.
I lost.
Me too.
I can't tell if Walter won or lost.
Yeah. So they disguised it on the outside with a little sugar.
That was really
And it's
bad.
pretty much just dishwater, right?
Did you guys only do dishwater in there?
No.
Should be randomized.
This is all the
It
randoms.
tastes like
wait.
potatoes.
I'm tasting a strong carrot flavor. In it.
No.
Eric, you're fired.
Yummy.
Oh, gross.
It's like I have so. It's like I
Next
misbehaved.
one.
Can I have that?
bar
Can I
of
get
soap
this
in
out of
my
my
mouth.
mouth, please?
I have like
This
a
is
bar
bad.
of soap in my mouth.
Wow.
Round 2. Ugh.
Oh no, run egg.
Rotten egg, buttered popcorn.
I don't trust them right now.
Anna, tell me when this is in the shot.
You're in.
Mmm.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I need an adult.
Okay, what is this now?
Buttered popcorn.
Butter popcorn
or
or rotten,
rotten egg.
All right, now there is a discernible difference between
there,
these.
though?
Like some of them are yellower.
There's no detergent
Oh.
between any of them.
No, there is
Are
definitely.
you gonna
Some
go
of the-
for a paler one?
Okay, who's gonna go? Who's gonna go for pale?
You
Who's
can
gonna
go
go?
Yeah, you eat one.
We all bump it at the same
Rotten
time.
egg or what?
Buttered popcorn.
butter popcorn.
I'm gonna say buttered popcorn is the yellower one. So I'm gonna
I'm
go with
gonna
that.
go with a not as yellow one. No, they're all the same color. What are you talking about?
No, there's like a.
Okay.
Just pick one.
All right.
You can pick one too.
This is my game.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Bump it and dump it. This is my game. Why aren't you up here playing it?
I can't reach the trash can.
Hey.
Eric, are there any good ones?
There's egg fruit spit in my mouth.
Try again.
No, they're gone.
I don't trust you.
They're done.
Well, that's a normal one.
Oh.
I'm eating a grapefruit jelly bean right now to make my mouth feel better.
No.
Just straight black licorice?
No.
How old
Please
are we?
no. Can I tag in Hannah to eat the black licorice?
I'll do yours. Ready?
Oh, bump it.
Just plain black licorice.
Is that like a
Which
cleansing
this is-
color?
This is for Jim.
Jim, I'm sorry.
Ready?
Do you like this?
Well,
There's something wrong with you.
There's no problem.
Eric is gagging in the back of the room right now. He's not even playing.
I hate black liquor.
Oh,
Me
I
too.
I can spit this out,
There,
right?
bucket. It's over there.
Bucket.
It's by Brayden. He asked, or just.
Next.
That was
What
bad.
did that mean?
That was real bad.
Black licorice is terrible. Oh!
All right,
You
if none
can't
of
go
us,
wrong. You can't go
if
wrong.
none of us get a good flavor this time,
Well-
they're setting us up.
There were only 3 in the package, so.
Oh my god.
Is there only 3 in the thing?
Which one you want, Walter?
What is this now?
Dog food?
Dog food.
Chocolate pudding.
For those of you who are tuning in at home, this is worse than I possibly could have imagined. Like I thought this was gonna be bad, but they really nailed the dirty dishwater.
It's,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was good.
I could have bubbles.
Yeah.
But this will cover it up.
The dog food will cover it up? Because I'm pretty sure there's no chocolate pudding in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. There's only 3. Sorry, guys. All right, whatever. Bump it and dump it. We're set up tonight.
Oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It takes a little bit more time for me.
It's a little dog
I'm
food.
still processing.
It's not chocolate pudding if you have to
I hear-
process.
Come on.
This is not a fun game.
I'm not eating any more jelly beans.
None of them have been good.
I don't trust. Oh
What is it? Spoiled milk coconut. Oh, let me just put a bunch of spoiled milk in here. Not any coconut at all.
There's no way of telling.
No, there aren't any coconut in here. That's what I. So far, nobody has gotten anything good. How can that possibly be?
I only bought the box.
All right. Spoiled milk or coconut? What are the odds? Will you give me
no.
$1?
100% that is spoiled milk.
Will you give me $1 if I get some coconut? I like coconut. I like coconut.
It even
All right,
smells like
ready?
spoiled milk.
3, 2, 1, bump it and dump it. Bump it.
Coconut!
Yay!
Yes!
Not coconut.
Yes!
I need it's out of my mouth.
This was a good one. Not spit this one out.
Come on.
Are you lying to us?
No,
Are you selling us out?
Oh, I would have rather had the rotten milk, I think. No, there was coconut.
There's a lot in this one.
Peach.
I don't want either.
Oh, do they look different too?
They do look different.
There's like some with the.
That big red one. You should try that one.
Apparently, you need to go for Big Red.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. All right.
We only got 5 more.
Here we go.
What? How are there 5 more?
Are you kidding me? It's like
Did
torture.
you guys take speckled ones or unspeckled ones? I will take Big Red.
Okay.
I've gotten. Yeah, Emma, I'm with you. If this is
Ready?
barf, ugh. Bump it and dump it. I hate this game.
What? Big Red loses. I missed.
You need it?
Oh.
I think I got peach.
You got food.
I got peach. Woo! I got peach. Steve-O.
It's just under my chair, John.
Try another one.
That was actually delicious.
So, did you get a speckled one or did you get a solid color?
I don't trust you, and I'm not gonna try
I
and
took,
I'm
the,
just
I took the
asking.
speckled one.
It was like lightly-
He's like, it's gone now.
lightly speckled. Try another one. Stinky
no.
socks.
Oh!
I can do stinky socks.
I can.
What did I have?
You
I
wanna
feel like I
eat
ate something recently that tasted like.
Yesterday.
Stinky socks.
Not yesterday. Last week.
Was it?
I don't know.
Hard to
Leftover
place.
salad.
These are so happy looking.
They're very festive looking.
What color?
Stinky
There's
socks
green,
or what?
there's blue,
I'm
there's
going-
red.
I'm going with the green one.
I don't. Is Tutti Frutti even a name?
Yes.
I had a cousin. She was like a couple years younger than me, and her whole family called her Tutti Frutti. I'm not sure that she really.
I
loved
don't
that
trust any of these.
Name. Imagine that you're like a 16-year-old girl and you're on your way to prom with your boyfriend, and your dad says, "Bye, Tutti Frutti." How would you feel?
Be a good time.
Good time. All right. Cool. Oh! I think I just smelled this one.
Oh, smell that.
Stinky socks or tutti frutti?
This is stinky. This is like.
Come
Do
on.
you think if we break
Here we
it
go.
open,
All right, bump it and dump it.
One.
2, 3.
Go.
Bump it, dump it.
Oh,
Peach
I
was
cracked
good.
it open and smelled it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely stinky socks.
Why do I taste so much slower? What?
Do you have two Tutti Fruttis?
Nope.
You've got like two good ones. You're winning.
I haven't gotten any.
Oh no, it was bad.
Either that or
I wouldn't say it's good.
dirty socks doesn't really affect you that much.
It's
Yeah.
just left a dirty coating.
No, I think it's probably like.
Why are those so bad?
That's the point.
Who had to taste test these?
I
Like,
know.
yup,
You know, there's
dirty
scientists-
sock, you got it today.
There's scientists in some clean lab
All
somewhere
right, 4
sitting
left.
around.
I don't want
Let's
to.
do this.
All right.
Okay, this one's fine.
They're both
So, either
good.
one's great.
I don't really
This is
want
a
it.
palate cleanser.
This is gonna be like yeah.
I would prefer to get the
The Pepto-Bismol Oreo will forever go down.
the last thing out of my mouth. What
Were
was
you
that? Dirty
were you
sock?
around for
Yeah.
Pepto-Bismol
No, but I
Oreo?
heard about it.
That was a stroke of genius from Eric. And honestly, don't drink Pepto-Bismol for fun, but it was pretty good. It was like a
I'm just
mint
gonna
Oreo.
preemptively eat it.
All right, hold it. Wait, what? You didn't bump it and dump it. Spit that out.
It's toothpaste.
Try again.
Bump it, bump it,
For
dump
that-
it.
You should have to try another
Toothpaste.
dishwater.
Mine's toothpaste.
I'm winning here.
You got 2.5. You're at 2.5.
Blue raspberry. Yeah, I don't know what that lasted.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I still haven't gotten one yet.
It wasn't real bad. It wasn't real good.
All right.
I don't know.
That was should have been the last one. A palate cleanser. Booger.
Booger.
Please be the juicy pear.
Lydia, aren't you sad you're not here with us this week? I mean, you're missing out.
You could be here
Booger versus.
eating terrible jelly beans with the rest of us.
Okay, but
There's only a few.
real talk now. Were either of you nose pickers who ate your boogers when you
No,
were
I was
kids?
not.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'll
I
get
never
to
ate.
It.
They have like that like salty taste, right?
And chewy. Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's gross.
We don't tell lies here. I ate my boogers.
We don't.
I didn't even know the
Modified's a
texture.
safe place.
It's a safe place. You aren't gonna judge me, right?
No, definitely not. All right, bump it and dump it.
Ready, go.
Boom. What is it?
I got
Oh.
pear.
Booger. I really want to be like, that's not what my boogers tasted like as a child.
2 more.
That was not good. I want to go back to getting good ones
I
again.
got
That
one.
one tastes a lot like socks. Why does that one taste like socks?
That was not great.
Oh!
Dead fish.
No.
Dead fish. You just think of like fish sauce, you know?
Oh.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, you like
I
fish
do.
sauce.
I do like
Yeah.
fish
This
sauce.
one shouldn't be bad for you.
I don't really just like drink it out of the bottle.
You can't hit the eject button like after half a chew. You
Oh,
gotta-
okay. Apparently, I need to savor it more. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I really want
You
to
should
savor
savor
dead
the game-
fish.
You should savor the game for the students.
For the students don't want to watch me eat dead fish jelly beans.
Well,
Pretty
they
humorous.
kind of do.
It's pretty humorous.
All right, so I got
Hey, thanks, Justin.
I got yellow
He
specks on
picked his
mine.
nose too.
I got yellow specks on mine. What do you got?
Mine's pure.
Yours is pure. His is flawless.
Just
I'm
like my
gonna,
honey.
I'm gonna go with this.
flawless.
Completely random.
Oh, that one looks like it's definitely whatever
All right,
this is.
here we go.
Dead fish.
Bump it. Mmm.
I win! Yes, juicy pear. Woo! I'll savor this one.
Oh man, it's on the floor.
I'm feeling really good that I won. Like crown. Like I don't want to eat those ones. You guys want another one?
Grapefruit, please. Oh. I got like drool on my mouth. Oh, it smells like dead fish.
Here's some water.
For all of you out there, I'm glad you're here with us.
What's the
like
last
peanut
one?
Peach was great. I'm gonna tell you that.
We
Peach
got
was
one more.
wonderful.
I think that was definitely the
What's
worst
the
one.
last one?
Yeah,
the
you're
last
right. I
one?
did definitely
What's the
save my
last-
hand tissues.
Hey, Hey,
Hey,
what was the last one?
What are the initials on it?
SB.
Stink bug.
I'll do stink bug.
All
Which
right.
Jennifer confessed earlier.
I've accidentally ate a stink bug before.
Real stink bug.
A real one.
How
They're
was it?
terrible.
I've been catching stink bugs in Animal Crossing, which is
That one does
Toasted
not. One of these
marshmallow.
things isn't like the other. There's one. Oh, there's two.
There's two.
Yeah. Who's going with
Or marshmallow.
the toasted marshmallow? That is a good jelly bean.
Is it?
I like toasted marshmallow.
All right. I
Did
got
you go with the lighter one?
no, I went with the darker one.
Do
All right, I got a lighter one.
I have to go darker.
Do it.
All right, two of us are in trouble.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Bump it. Dump it.
Toasted marshmallow! Yay! I'm just gonna savor
So
this.
I got
Jennifer had
one.
3.5 or 4.
I think
Walter
3.
had 2.5. Did you even have a good
I
one?
had one.
You did?
And it was the
Toothpaste?
pear. It was the
Oh,
pear.
it's a pear. I thought it was
Pear.
the toothpaste.
Oh man. Every time I put this
That was
up to
pleasant.
my nose, I smell dead fish now.
We should have dumped the
Oh
rest
yeah,
of
no,
those.
I got it. I got a whiff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wally.
You are welcome.
It's almost as bad as when I was going to camp. You guys probably go to Rock Lake. I went to Lake James. We had camp teams come in one time, and they did this thing where they thought they were so funny too. All the staffers came in on stage, and like somebody brushed their teeth, and then they spit it out into a cup, and then the next person like rinsed with that and brushed their teeth, and they spit it out into a cup, and it's like the opposite of pandemic hygiene, and it was gross. So don't do that. All right. Cool. Well,
Cool story.
I don't know how to transition out of that successfully, but we are going to start a new series today. Brayden's teaching lesson 1 next week. We're actually diving into lesson 2 tonight. It's all about injustice, recognizing injustice in the world around us, and then figuring out what we personally can do about that. And so we are going to dive into that tonight. So without further ado, let's watch this intro and then go. Yeah, so we're back. We're talking about injustice tonight and about what God thinks about that, about our current situation and life, and how the world's kind of a broken place, but that we can do something about that, and it kind of starts with us. And so I'm going to tell you guys where we're landing tonight is that when you see injustice, start to try to identify the injustice within yourself too. And that's where we're going. But before we get there, do you guys ever get annoyed with the rules? Hey, it's Hannah Lohman, everybody. She's on camera. She's right there. Look at it. She got up off
You're not on.
lethargic ball that she was curling.
Her
into.
arm was
Yeah.
on camera.
Wow.
Thank you. So, do you guys ever feel like there's some injustices in your life, especially like you get frustrated with all the rules that you have to follow? I think when I was a kid, I was mostly a rule follower, but there were moments when I, stretched the boundaries a bit. And sometimes it felt like my parents just had rules to have rules. And I feel like maybe my kids think that right now because we're doing the work from home thing. And like this morning, we decided that our kids can never be in the living room during working hours anymore. Because Jamie is working in the basement every time. Like our kids can't, they can't like walk without stomping, and they can't like sit down on the floor without going boom. And so Jamie's like trying to work, and it's just bang, bang, bang. So, and I'm sure my kids are like, what is wrong with our parents? Why do they have these rules? Yeah. So, anyways, tell me about a time when you got in big trouble with your parents. Either of you guys.
Oh, I'll go first. There's many.
There's many. We're right here.
Say the biggest one that was probably the most consequences was, well, there's two, but one dealt with, I had my license, I had drove to school, and not realizing for some strange random reason when I was leaving the high school that my mom was in the car in the parking lot, but as I pulled out of my parking spot, I may have executed a perfect power turn, saw my mom's face in her car, and then proceeded to pretend it wasn't me and drive the different direction home. Because that obviously worked.
So, a perfectly executed
Power turn, yeah,
so,
where you go backwards, you flip yourself around and go forward again.
Had you practiced this before? Or is this a common thing?
Maybe.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Thanks.
Nice. You
There's
guys
some
did it.
good driving
Snowy?
skills. It was not snowy.
Nice.
I know.
So now that you got the Jeep, are you and Danny gonna go?
We're gonna do some off-roading,
some
I'm sure.
off-roading?
I mean, we
Yeah.
may have driven around.
So consequences for that?
Oh, got my car taken away for a really long time. Had to walk to school. My friends couldn't give me a ride.
The shame.
And
Oh,
that was,
man.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. All right, buddy. What about you? You're a good kid. You never got in trouble.
Yeah, never. Well, there's one time I was at a baseball game it was like 2 hours away with a buddy, and his parents took me. And then he was like, hey, you want to spend the night? So I went back to my house after the baseball game. I got all my stuff, and then I left. So then my parents hadn't been home all day. So I come back at like 10 o'clock, and I'm not there. And I never told them where I was going. So,
I would have had a moment.
you know, it was rough for them, but, you know, we figured it out.
We figured it out. It was rough for them. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, so I grew up in an interesting family, and I had a rambunctious couple older siblings, and so I like tried to lay low, and I wasn't generally getting in trouble for too much because I just didn't want the attention, right? And my dad kind of had a little bit of a short fuse and whatever. But I do remember a couple times we were not supposed to. So I grew up on a farm, ran a lot of equipment. I was driving like big loaders and tractors and stuff, and we were not supposed to listen to the radio while we drove these things. Even though we'd be out in the field for like 8, 9 hours, 12 hours, who knows? We couldn't listen to the radio or anything because we drove such crappy old equipment that we had to listen and hear if anything broke. And there was this one time where I was plowing, and I plowed like half the field before I realized that we'd sheared a couple pins that helped the plows stay down, and so I did like half the field wrong, and then I had to go walk the entire field and look for this piece that I lost. Anyway, it's weird farming stuff. I'm sure this is relating well to you. I was in big trouble. Whatever. So, can you remember, like, either right now or back when you were a high schooler, what were some of your parents' most nonsensical, just odd-seeming rules that didn't seem like they had any purpose that you had to follow? Or maybe now, what's like something, like for me right now, like the speed limit on the expressway seems really arbitrary, right? So it was 70, now it's 75. Why isn't it 100? Like it's a big. Why is that funny? It should be 100 mile an hour.
You're going to drive the Autobahn now.
I would like to drive the auto. They can do it in Germany. Why can't they do it in America? Just the speed limit seems arbitrary. Now I get it on my road by my house where my kids are playing. Yeah, I wish people would go 30 instead of 55. But that's because people are there. But the expressway is fenced off. It's like big. You can land an aircraft on it, right? And whatever. Okay, speeding, whatever. Anyways, yeah, you guys, what do you think, Brayden?
For me right now with like the whole lockdown stuff is that one of my best friends is in town because of, quarantine, and his college got closed, and I can't go see him because that'd be breaking quarantine, but like I never get to see him, and he's like 10 minutes away from me.
That's
That's
awful.
been really rough.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you're there, you could like video chat him, but you could video chat him when he's away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stinks. Yeah. What about you?
I can think of a weird rule that I have for my own family. There's-
Christian, if you're listening in right now.
You're not supposed to call him. I owe him money now.
Do you want me to make you rich, buddy?
Christian.
No.
Christian.
Thanks, guys. No pillow fights in the house. Hate pillow fights. Somebody always gets hurt.
Oh, yeah.
You're not, because it escalates
Yeah.
real
They're
quick.
Boys.
It's true.
I may have injured somebody in a pillow fight, but I mean, yeah, that's my one. I think would be, yeah. I'm not gonna lax on it because I hate pillow fights,
Yeah.
but that is a weird rule to have.
I get that. Yeah, pillow fights. I mean, it does seem like when kids are at home, and I don't know at what age this stops, but my kids, when they like start horsing around, it just continually escalates until somebody is weeping.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And like howling, and the other day I came
I'm sure
out.
that doesn't happen at your house, Brayden, ever.
We're doing the quarantine thing, right? And my kids are driving us nuts. We're like, go outside. And I came out not once, but twice to Simi just wailing like he was like lost an arm or something. And it's because Genesis had smacked him in the face with a stick. I'm like, at that point, I was like, I lost it. And I'm like, There are no more sticks
for
Yeah,
anyone.
I had my dad voice. It was great. So here's the thing. What's worse than these nonsensical rules is when somebody tells you to do something that they're not willing to do themselves, or when they like make a rule for you that they're not following themselves. That is the worst thing ever. Has that ever happened to either of you when somebody has been like, hey, you need to do this, and you know without a doubt they are not doing it themselves? Like, this is the definition of hypocrisy.
I know that, like, every once in a while my dad will say, do as I say, not as I do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
probably
you
like,
throw that out there.
if you
you're
ever
golden.
say it to me, it makes me so mad. 'Cause
Wait, tell me more.
About what?
Like, I just want to. What's the exact phrase that I have to not use?
If you,
Oh,
I don't
do-
like when
do
people
as I
say, do as I say, not
Okay,
as I do.
So you're
'cause
telling me I should put that into my.
never saying drawer.
The drawer,
okay,
of
okay.
never saying.
It's going to be really hard for me to not pull that out now. Just want you to know. Anyway, Jennifer, what about you?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I was thinking about some weird rules that, like, different jobs I've had.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially with, like, uniforms that you have to wear that are absolutely hilarious. I used to work at a video store, and I had to wear a jean shirt with a bow tie
What
and
is
a
it?
cummerbund. It was the worst uniform ever. But our boss, like, wouldn't
Clown
wear it.
videos are us, or
No,
what? Like,
it's
what is
Hollywood
this?
video. It doesn't exist anymore. People probably
Yeah.
don't even know what
Yeah. They
VHS
didn't
tapes or
exist.
DVDs are anymore.
They
Yeah,
didn't exist when
they still
Hollywood
don't exist,
video
yeah.
existed.
But that was our uniform. I had to wear that every day to work. Jean button-up shirt,
Yeah.
a red bow tie, and a red cummerbund.
Here's what gets me. So,
It's terrible.
so speaking of
But
injustice,
my boss wouldn't do it.
I generally feel very positively about the police force in our neighborhood. There was one time Jamie and I had to call them to come over to our house. They responded really quickly, and they were just very professional, very nice. But the thing that gets me sometimes, and this goes back to speeding again, is when the police officers just like break every law in the books on just driving around without their lights on, and they're like flying by, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's one of those like do as I say, not as I do thing. That makes me mad. Love the police officers out there. Just follow the same rules as we do. So we call the people who place a rule on you that they don't actually follow hypocrites. Like that's what. And a lot of times, have you guys seen those memes like, hey, the church is full. Somebody told me the church is full of hypocrites, and I was like, hey, it's not full enough. There's always room for one more join us. People have this idea, at least old people, that the church is full of people, full of Christ followers or Christians who say one thing and live another way. And so there's this like disconnect. There's this injustice. And so we're in this new series starting today, all about injustice and dealing with that tension and trying to live authentic lives. And so what are a couple areas that you guys see injustice, maybe in our school systems, maybe in the city now, maybe in our country? I don't know. Like just thinking about if you were a student, was there injustice in your high school? Is there injustice that you see in Lansing right now, in the greater Lansing area? What do you guys see?
Well, when I went to high school, I played baseball, and our baseball coach didn't work in the high school, but our football coach did. So if you were a football player, you could skip class and go hang out in their like office and not do any work, but like a baseball player couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's baloney.
High school.
Yeah, high school. It's a great place.
High school's
Props to you all for surviving high school, because I did not like it. And I went to the world's most amazing, tiniest high school ever. So, what about you, Jennifer?
Say injustice right now. See, that's a big one. I was just thinking of more of like like things. Like I notice my boys, everything always has to be fair. Like it's those perfect parents out there with their lists of what your kids are doing for every hour of the day. We share on Facebook.
I bet you love that if you're one of their kids.
I do. Or looking at it knowing you don't do that. But the list has to be exactly the same or it's a battle. Like if he's got 3 on his list, the other has to have 3 on their list. And if one has 4, it's like World War III. Like it's the worst thing ever. Yeah.
You probably owe them some more money now.
I do.
So, well, like when I
It's
think
worth
about
it.
injustice in general, I know, so my wife works for community mental health, and there are just a lot of people that come in and see her, and just a lot of our social services deal with people that the system has kind of failed, and so they, like Jamie and I talk a lot about how we have social, like, security nets of, like, we just have networks of family and friends that if we fall on hard times, we know that somebody's going to be there for us. And it really feels like some of the people that Jamie sees and some of the people that are, maybe going to Lansing City Rescue Mission or whatever, just don't have those social, the capital, the networks that they can turn to when they fall in hard times. And that just really, it's heartbreaking, We know at the end of the day we can come and we can be part of the church, and the people in the church are going to support us and take care of us. Or our family, I can go bug out and go back to the farm, or Jamie's parents, we can live in their basement again. We just have those circles, and there's just a lot of people don't have those safety nets. So the thing about injustice, though, is when you start thinking about injustice, you identify people. A lot of times you try to identify the source behind it, and so once you identify that source, once you start thinking about that, you start feeling emotions, right? And so you feel some anger, some frustration. You start questioning how the system works, or you start questioning that person's values. You think about how bad they are, how wrong they are, how they deserve punishment, that they should get something that they deserve. And the bad news, though, when you start down those roads, is that this is where we all become hypocrites. Because if we're being honest, a lot of times we hold people to this standard that we never quite live up to ourselves. We apply this standard of right and wrong as real black and white, and we jump to these conclusions without knowing their whole story, that we would not want that standard held to us. And so we can point out the wrongs that we see people committing in our school, whether that's just being awful to other students, whether that's treating the school or their teachers in inappropriate ways, harassing people on social media. There are all these messes that happen at our schools, and we can point to those and we can say those are wrong, and jump to conclusions about the people behind them without thinking about, well, maybe we've got a little bit of that darkness in ourselves. So that makes us hypocrites just the same. Kind of back to that church meme. So we're going to be in the Gospel of Matthew today, and so in the Gospel of Matthew, there's this famous section. It's 3 chapters, 5, 6, and 7 of Matthew, and it's this one speech, this one teaching session that Jesus gave to his disciples and his followers, and it's called the Sermon on the Mount. So what do you guys, when you guys think of the Sermon on the Mount, what do you think of? Rules, okay. Yeah, okay.
Rules, regulations,
well, tell
ways
me,
to live.
Okay, it's interesting because the Sermon on the Mount is a lot of you've heard it said this, but I say this, and Jesus makes it more extreme.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, I guess rules. All right. What about you, Brayden?
I'm a visual learner, so I'm picturing a hill with somebody up on top pointing their finger and
Ooh, the
yelling
shaky
at
finger.
people,
Yeah.
Yelling.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I picture.
Sermon on the Mount.
That's funny because so there's this series of videos that I watched when I was in middle school, high school, and it was the Gospel. I think the Gospel of Matthew. I think there's one for each of the Gospels, and it was just word for word the text of the Bible. But then they had these actors who were playing the part, and I remember being really struck one time by watching this character, this actor who was playing Jesus, and as he's delivering the Sermon on the Mount, he's smiling and he's laughing, and it's this when we read the Bible, a lot of times I think we read it and we see severe words and we think that Jesus was angry and grumpy, lots of rules, lots of grumpiness all the time. When in fact you read some of this stuff and he's almost poking fun at the way the system works and our assumptions. And believe it or not, I think Jesus probably smiled every once in a while. So I would highly recommend these. They're on DVDs. I know old technology.
DVDs.
I have them in my office. I would love to let you borrow them sometimes. I just call him Smiley Jesus. He's walking around, he's teaching, he's smiling, and it just completely changed my view of Jesus. So when I read the Sermon on the Mount, I think of Jesus' kingdom. The values of Jesus' kingdom are so radically different than the values of the world. And so I hear the rules and I hear the grumpiness, but I feel really encouraged, and it's this encouraging passage. So with that said, we're in chapter 5, verse 22 on your modified Bibles. Those are going to be on page 1003. And this is what Jesus says to his followers. He says, so, verse 21, here we go. You have heard that our ancestors were told you must not murder. If you commit a murder, you are subject to judgment. So that's thousands of years earlier. God gave his people all these laws, and one of them is do not commit murder. Do not kill other people. So Jesus says, you've heard this. You've heard that you're not supposed to murder people. But verse 22, he says, but I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the court. And if you curse someone, you are in danger of the fires of hell. So yeah, so Jesus is taking this like don't murder and like just ratcheting it up, right? He's going from like don't murder to don't even think that you hate somebody. Don't even think these angry thoughts about other people because you're subject to judgment, right? And then this whole section is kind of, you've heard this, but I say, Matthew 5:27 and 28, he says, you've heard the commandment that says you must not commit adultery. We all are like, adultery, bad, that makes sense. You shouldn't sleep with somebody else's spouse, right? And then Jesus says, you've heard the commandment that says, you must not commit adultery. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And so, like, he takes this rule again, and it's not just the action, but it's the mind, it's a mental state, it's the heart behind it. It's about like who you really are, and he just ratchets it up. And the Sermon on the Mount is full of all of these kinds of statements. Things that begin with us nodding along and saying, oh yeah, Jesus, that makes sense. I shouldn't commit adultery. I shouldn't murder other people. Those are pretty baseline, decent human behavior standards. And then he's like, you've heard that, but the reality is, even if you start thinking about these things, then you're guilty of judgment. How do you deal with statements like those from Jesus?
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost feel like, because I like to describe how things, it's like an iceberg where like the don't murder is on top and all the thoughts are underneath, and there's so much to deal with that part that's hidden that you should be really trying to pay attention to what's beneath the surface of yourself and your thoughts and your actions, and try to, instead of looking at the big thing of, oh, well, where are these thoughts coming from and why, and kind of digging into that more.
So there's like the outward reality that people see, and then there's the inward reality.
That you're struggling with, and trying to pay attention to that more to start changing your heart and your shape.
Yeah, it's tough. On one hand, it shows me like I can never live up to Jesus' standard. It's just so far beyond where I am. And on the other hand, it's like, well, that's encouraging because like we're celebrating and remembering on Good Friday, Jesus offered himself in my place. So I'm going to try my best to please God, but I know that my standing with God doesn't rely on that. But yeah, it's some severe stuff. So the thing that I see in a lot of this is this idea that you can't solve a problem that you're contributing to. And so when it comes to like this idea of injustice, we need to start with Jesus' words in this section, and then kind of at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, he says this. And this kind of goes back to like we see injustice, we want to be mad at these people, but let's start with ourselves. In Matthew 7 verses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Jesus says this: "Do not judge others, for you will not be you will not be judged. For you will be treated as you treat others." Back to that idea of like I'm mad at people, I see injustice, I want them to pay, and then I don't recognize the own darkness within myself. The standard that you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye? Like I'm looking at Brayden and he's got sawdust in his eye. When you have a log in your own. So this is one of those moments where like you can just imagine Jesus laughing because like I'm trying to get this speck out of your eye and I've got like a broomstick and I'm smacking you in the face, right? Like it's crazy.
It's exactly how I picture it.
It's crazy, and Jesus sets up something that's so ridiculous. Like, why am I trying to fix something that's tiny and broken in your life when there's a whole lot of broken within me? Why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, "Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye," boom, when you can't see the log in your own? You know, like I knocked Brayden out cold. Yeah, I didn't try to help you, Jennifer. You're welcome. Hypocrite. Here's our word of the night. Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. I just broke my app. That's cool. Escape. There's no escape button in this. Cool. Well, we're gonna wing it. Yeah. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. We're really live. What's going on? You're laughing at me? There we go. All right. So yeah. Anyways,
I had screamed. I was just concerned.
Matthew 7. So that's the crazy thing about like dealing with injustice. We want to take action. We want to deal with injustice. The thing that we know about younger people, about high schoolers and college students, is that like you're passionate and you're driven and you want to change the world. and that's admirable. It's fantastic, and we want to help you do that. But a lot of times that has to start with some self-introspection, some self-awareness, some self-examination. Pay attention to the injustice in you. That's where we're going to land tonight, is pay attention to the injustice in you. Have you ever had to remove the plank from your own eye before you talk to somebody else?
Oh, daily.
Daily.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
something I've noticed when I'm really feeling like either injustice or something against someone. It's because I see the flaws in myself and that other person. And so instead of, I always joke, I say the line, you can smell your own. Like things that you have problems with, you can find it in other people to then pick them apart and be like, you did that wrong, or
Yep.
you shouldn't be thinking that, or you shouldn't be shaming those people on social media. But then it's usually because you've done it before and you feel bad and you kind of point.
I just get a crack out of the social media posts that are all about like flaming other people, like
Yes.
and they're all like,
I wouldn't do this.
yeah, I would never do this, but I saw so and so do something. I just can't believe that they would act that way. And you're like, well, okay, whatever. But yeah, what about you? Have you ever had to remove the plank in your own eye?
Yeah, I have. I have a rebel spirit or heart.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I have to work to like respect people. I like want respect from them, but what I really need to do is work on respecting other people. And
Yeah. So kind of like paying it forward, almost like giving what you're hoping to see.
yeah,
And Jesus talks about that too, right? He says, "Do to others as you want them to do to you." Right? The golden rule. Yep. So that's what we're encouraging you to do this week, is to pay attention to the injustice in you. And so the way that we see that playing out is step one, just pray this simple prayer: God, help me see the injustice in me. Like, help me become aware of the areas that I need to work on before I start criticizing and jumping down other people's throats. And then step two, commit to taking some action on those areas. And so if God draws something to your attention, if he brings something to your heart and you realize, man, I got to work on that, that's an area that I really need to work on, then take just one step this week toward righting that injustice. Whatever it is, we're asking that you would be willing to invite God to help you to see and to do something about the injustice in you. Imagine, just for a second, if we all did this, just here at Modified, if we just, not every Christian around the world, but just us, address the injustice in ourselves, I think we would be a healthier community, and I think that people around us would start taking note of who we are. It would be awesome. So God is calling you guys, this generation that's passionate, that's driven to do something about injustice, and that really starts with you. Pay attention to the injustice in you. So let me pray for us, and then we got a couple things more before we sign off, and then it'll be small group time. So let's pray. Jesus, we're so thankful for your teachings as recorded from the Sermon on the Mount. God, your standard is just so far beyond ours that sometimes it's intimidating, and we can feel like the rules and the harshness of it is just unattainable for us. But at the same time, Jesus, we know that you love us deeply and that you gave yourself up for us, and that because of you, we can come into God's presence and we can have that restored, renewed relationship. And so that's what I pray, God, for the students who are tuned in, for the adults. As Eric and Brayden and I prayed before Modified, Father, we look forward to having so many brothers and sisters in eternity with us in the new earth, because of the things that we're doing here and the discussions we're having. So God, I pray that you would help us this week to identify the injustice in our own lives, and that we would be willing to take steps to work on that. So God, I pray again that you would work through our small groups tonight, and that in everything that we do, we glorify you. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, well, that just about wraps us up for the night. We do have a couple more videos we want to watch together, and then a couple last things to highlight. But last week, if you remember, it was cat video week, and so we had the cats and the fish, and
The cat domino.
we had the cat. No, 2 weeks ago was
that was
cat
2
dominoes. Man, the cats have really had the highlight.
Good.
And then we had like the cats. The cat. What was that? Like the level up,
Yeah.
like jumping over the toilet paper. Well, this week the dogs are here
I saw the dog.
to destroy. So I think the first one that we're going to show you is an example that even the dogs are desperate about the toilet paper. So without further ado, here's a poor dog trying to get his toilet paper.
back live.
We're back live. All right, so yeah, that poor dog. He succeeded. Okay, and then the other thing that we noticed is, so Eric got us some. Is it called DoorDash?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so old, I don't understand these things. But he got us some food with DoorDash today, and because of quarantine, the human beings have had to stay inside, and so delivery has been passed off to our animal friends. So here is one of our animal friends doing his duty in delivering.
He said duty.
Dude.
Here's one of our animal friends fulfilling his obligations
There you go.
in delivering DoorDash.
You're ripping the bag though.
This is new Toronto Uber delivery.
Yes,
I hope they tip you well, buddy.
they do. Buddy, you're ripping the bag though.
This is new Toronto Uber delivery.
Yes,
I hope they tip you well, buddy.
they do.
All right. Yeah. I have never had a dog that wouldn't have just broken into that and just torn it apart. So yeah, but anyways, those are a couple of very good dogs. And the very last one is because the cats did that level up thing last week and they jumped over the toilet paper, and that one
They
gray
were
cat was
winners.
just flying like crazy. This is how dogs do it,
It's
and
majestic.
dogs do it right. So yeah, this is the dog's response to that cat video.
Oh,
Level up. All right.
their legs were too
Yeah.
short.
All right. So that again just reminds me of the level up video. But talk about again like a major flex with like putting all that toilet paper and letting your dogs destroy it. Anybody's household getting low on TP?
Oh no.
We've been
Oh no. Wait, are you like a hoarder?
I am not a hoarder.
Are you a
I
hoarder?
bought one package of toilet paper when I needed the one package of toilet paper.
Uh-huh.
And I made sure to let everybody
did
know
you-
too.
did
I was
you
like, I
need-
really need this one roll.
Did you need that one like every single day? Did you like
No.
today? I also need one additional
No.
package. Today I also need an additional package. No,
Just one. We have
Yeah.
one. But we don't
All right.
shop at Sam's or Costco.
Okay, and you, yeah,
No, we're good.
you're good. You sure you're good? I
Yeah.
mean, you don't worry about that. Your mom takes care of it all, I'm sure. So. It's good to be young and have parents. All right, hey, thanks for joining us again. Modified small groups for just a couple minutes. Don't forget our Netflix Watch Party Bad Movie Club edition. Yes, Shrek is going to be awful. That's the
Oh,
genius.
that's what we're watching. Okay.
It's going to be Shrek the musical, so it's even worse than you could possibly imagine. But it's going to be fun to be in there and roasting it. So join us Wednesday night. Join us Thursday night for communion service. Friday night for Good Friday. Sunday for Easter. We got a lot going on. Hope you can be there with us. We will see you next week. Brayden's teaching. Peace out.